My music career basically started at St John the Baptist Church. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I became the head chorister there in 1942. Went into the Air Force, 1951, came out in 1953. And then my jazz, blues type career started, meeting Black Anna after a rehearsal with the Norwich Philharmonic Chorus, which I was a member of. I used to go up to Burr Street, hear her singing through the window. I went in one day, got to know her, and she invited me up on the stage one day. And I believe the first number I ever sang was Hello Central, Give Me Dr. Jazz. From there, I spent 10 years, from about 55 to 1965. And then with my brother Tony, we opened the Jacquard Club at the Mischief Tavern, which was a room in a pub, basically, once a week. After about 5 years of that, we decided to buy an old pub in Magnan Street called the White Lion. It was a delicensed pub. And we then made that a permanent venue for jazz, blues and folk in Norwich 7 days a week. Fond memories of the Jolly Butchers. I think Anne thought a lot of me. She's a very hard lady, but I always know that when we used to do the jazz festivals on Earlham Park, I beg your pardon, she'd always bring me up to her private quarters, and very few people ever went into her private quarters. But there, she'd have a bottle of whiskey and a china cup and saucer, and she'd give me a whiskey in a china teacup to drink before we went on the gig, which I thought was very, very nice of her. You know, she didn't drink at all, Anne. You know, she was a teetotaler, but that was a lovely thing for her to do. And she always called her Albert. You know, and I think really Anne was very upset when I left to open the Jacquard Club. I think she felt that was a little bit of a stab in the back, which it wasn't. But I had to move on after 10 years. You know. At the Jacquard, the first Jacquard, we had more sort of folk people like Judy Collins, Paul Simon, Jake Thackeray, people like that. But when we moved to the new Jacquard, if I can call it such, we introduced a lot more jazz. We had Ronnie Scott, we had great jazz, Barney Kessel, Joe Pass, some great Stefan Grappelli, some great jazz people as well as the folk people. I remember George Melly when he first came to the Jacquard Club. The jazz one, the later one, he just got on the road again after being writing jokes with Trog in some national newspaper, and well, I think perhaps she could say something about this. I was in bed with my wife. George came home. We'd both had a fair bit to drink that night, and he came in our bedroom and kissed us both good night. Which I think was quite humorous, but he was that sort of guy, you know. The type of people we got at the Jacquard basically was the same type of people we got at the Jolly Butchers. They seemed to sort of like follow you around, the general genre of people. You know, they influenced each other. You got some rowdy people, but generally speaking, they're very good-natured. And what I've always loved about it, and even what I love about today, is that I still have young people come to my gigs, as well as older people, and well, not as old as me because I'm an old swine now, but that's what I like about it. We always had a wide context of audience, age-wise. I'm more influenced by singers than musicians. I've been influenced a lot by the old-time musical stars, Harry Champion, Little Titch, people like that, because my father was, for a short period after 48, we were on the halls, and I always loved those, and slowly you begin to hear different sounds. You know, the 50s, you heard all the big bands, and Ted Heath, the Kirchen Band, Dennis Lotus, Lita Rosa, you know, all these sort of strange names. Because I lived through a strange period, you know, the 50s and the 60s, it was everything was new. There was nothing there, you know, you were exploring it all the time. So you're listening for different things, and it was very difficult to get material. So you're more aware of materials that came along. I was influenced just by the sheer volume of things happening in such a short space of time, in about 10 years. You know, after the war, which was just like before the war, wasn't it? Everything was frozen then. So after the war, in that first 10 years, there was so much going on. What makes me want to keep performing? Because I have to, I suppose, but I would say that, wouldn't I? There's a certain amount of ego in it. There's an amount of artistic fulfillment, and a certain wanting to do things you've never done before, wanting to do different songs, new numbers, try out new ideas. That's really what it is. Because frankly, if I didn't perform, I may as well just hand in my dinner pail, not be here anymore. You know, I have to perform. I'd like to be remembered from the point of view that I tried, and I dedicated myself. In spite of having a daytime job, bringing up a family, all those things, I dedicated myself to music from a very young age. And it's a great joy. Music has been a great joy for me, and I like to be remembered that I tried and I kept at it.